Hello, viewer. Welcome. Thank you for clicking on us. We are Phil and Ben, and we have a full record jacket for you. My goodness me, we are back again in 1994.
It's 1994.
Ben, you've got a bit of a glow on your cheeks there.
Have I?
You're making me feel quite pale.
Oh, it's my radiantness, Phil.
It probably is, yeah.
It could be the sun beaming through my window here.
Maybe. So this, I think, is this now the third time we've discussed the year 1994? For anyone who's not seen us before, a quick recap. We're doing this year the 1990s. We're talking about albums of the 1990s. So every month we've been focusing on a different year.
Yeah.
So we started back in January with the year 1990. This month, we're in the middle of May as we record this. So it's 1994. We have to, at the end of each month, pick our three personal favourite albums of that year. So how are you getting on with 94?
Well, I've done okay. I did you know January in 1994, January the 25th was when Michael Jackson settled his lawsuit for his first molestation case.
Right.
There you go. And funny enough, just before that, on the same day, R. Kelly released Bump and Grind. Who would have thought it? So I'm going to hit you with some more 1994 facts a little bit later. But I'm going to tell you what I've been listening to. And one of the ones I've been listening to is, it should be behind me if my alphabetical order is, and I put it back in the right place. Yes, it's there. There we go. 1994, because you know I like a bit of my hippening and the hoppening. I've been listening to a bit of Coolio, and It Takes a Thief, which I'm not happy about. The corner's slightly crooked, but I love this album. This is one of my favourite hip-hop albums. Far better than Gangster's Paradise.
I was going to say, he's the Gangster's Paradise guy, right? But that was later.
This was Gangster's Paradise was 95.
Right, okay.
So this has got the legendary, obviously Fantastic Voyage. Mother, I'm in love with a gangster. I can't say the rest of it because it'll get us banned.
Is the song called Fantastic Voyage?
It is called Fantastic Voyage.
Right. I wondered just for a second there whether it was called Voyage and you were describing it as fantastic.
No, it even says there, look. There's one track on here, number 4, Hand on My Nutsack.
That's right up your street then.
Yeah.
Maybe down your street would be the.
But there's a really good one on here called Ghetto Cartoon, which is very good. But I do really enjoy this album. It's fun. Coolio. There's just something about his vocal performance now. It's quite fun, and he's never sort of.
Is that barbed wire that's coiled round on the front cover there? Is he looking through some barbed wire? I can't quite see what he's doing.
Yeah, it looks like razor wire. I've never actually noticed that, actually. If you have a look at it, it looks like razor wire.
Looks like it to me, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I said it says Fantastic Voyage. It doesn't, because the album is called It Takes a Thief.
Now, he died not long ago, didn't he?
I think it was about 2020, wasn't it?
Well, to me, that's not long ago when you're at my age.
Well, to be fair, 1884 isn't that long ago for you, Phil, either. Let's have a look. Coolio, when did he pass away? And he passed away. Here we go. Coolio. Coolio was one of the first rappers to balance pop accessibility with gritty, street-level subject matter and language. And it doesn't tell me when he passed away on there, but I'm sure it's about 2020. Funny enough, Coolio at one point was only releasing new music through which site, Phil? Have a guess.
He was releasing music through one site only.
Yes. 2022 he died.
iTunes?
No.
Spotify? Napster?
No. Pornhub.
Right, okay.
Weirdly enough. So,
did he make the videos to go with it?
If he did, I'm not watching them. Not right now, anyway. But no, this it's one of my favourite hip hop albums because Coolio isn't sort of. I don't know if he actually, to be a hip hopper, you had to have a beef with somebody, but I'm not sure if he was really into all that sort of East Coast, West Coast sort of.
Just what you were saying just then, I just made me think of a joke. I just invented a joke. Do you want to hear it?
Go on then.
You're into football, so you know this one.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the very prolific and unselfish midfielder?
No.
He passed away. You like that? I just made that up. I thought that was good.
That's actually quite good, Philster. I don't know why that's tickled me.
I don't know whether anyone else has made that up before me, but
I don't know why
I genuinely made that up.
I don't know why that's tickled me so much. I'm nicking that, Philster. I'm nicking that. Just bear with me 1 second. So I've got to reply to. I know this is unprofessional, but this is quite important. One sec. I know this is.
You're sending that joke to all your football mates now, aren't you?
I am, yeah. That's exactly what I was just doing. But no, that's my hipping and hopping in. I don't think I've listened to any other hipping and hopping in stuff. I did listen to a bit of Warren G, but I think that's from '95. And then I did start listening to my what's the word? My little cause I messaged you. What do we call it? A guilty pleasure.
Oh yes.
Because I did message you the other day, and it is an album from '95, so it won't be included in this. But I did sort of, because I said to you, I didn't know whether to spend £30 on the vinyl, and then I listened to it in my heady phones, and then I was like, yeah, do you know what? I don't need to spend £30 on this. But I listened to Green Day. Ducky. I really enjoyed that. In fact, I like that album better now than I did when I first really started listening to it, sort of more later 90s. Because Green Day's American Idiot, I know that's not from the 90s. It's more from 2004, 5.
It was around the time of George W. Bush, wasn't it? Wasn't it a bit of a go at him? Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Well, that album I love. It's actually one of those albums again that I won't listen to for a long time, and then I'll listen to it, and I'm like, why am I not playing this all the time? But anyway, yeah, I listened to Ducky. Great album. I enjoyed it more than I did. Not the fact I enjoyed it more. I think I appreciated it more now than when maybe my ears are mature, but I really enjoyed it anyway. And last but not least, I've only managed to get 3 or 4 in this week. I listened to a little bit of Super Unknown by Soundgarden. I don't know if you've ever listened to it.
Black Hole Sun.
Yeah, that's on that. Yeah,
Black Hole. That's the most famous, the best known song on there. I would have thought.
You come? That one.
Yeah. I have listened to it. It's a long time since I've listened to it, and I must admit, for some reason, I was never really grabbed by them at the time. I know that there were quite a few music nerds who were really into them at the time.
Yeah,
and I know that his voice is highly regarded by many people.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I've never been a real. I'm sorry, no level of expertise on Soundgarden at all.
Well, I don't know.
I can't say too much really.
Well, I don't know whether it's because of I listened to the 20-year anniversary version, so it's a little bit longer, but it just I can see why people liked it, but to me, it didn't have anything. You know what I'm like, Philster. It didn't have anything to grip me onto it. It just seemed like a lot of.
Yeah, for some reason, it never totally grabbed me. But then I never really listened to it enough. I mean, I couldn't. I didn't listen to it even 3 times, so I can't really. So I would say though, Is it just me, or is the front cover of Super Unknown not very good artwork? Is that just me thinking that?
I'm just going to. Is
I
that the
always
one with
thought
the guy? He's got singing on it or
it looks like
something.
a guy sort of screaming or something. I always felt that it was a bit sort of, I don't know. I would have, for a band that was kind of a bit
Yeah.
alternative, and I would have thought they would have something a bit more out
Yeah,
there
I'm
as the
just looking
cover.
at it now. I mean, obviously they've got the black hole sun, which that is literally an eclipse. That isn't a black hole sun. Do you know what they did there? The art department. They went, oh God, we spent the budget. What was the budget? Well, the budget was about £1 million for the artwork. What did you spend it on?
New Orders
Well,
Republic. We spent it all on that.
yeah. No, well, that's what I was going to say. What they did is they went, right, what we're going to do is, here's a tenner, get the album cover done up. And they went to Soundgarden and they went, we got this, and they showed them what will be the sound cover for the album. And then showed him New Orders Republic and said, which one do you want? And he just looked and went, well, obviously that one there's had £1 million spent on it because that one looks like it's only had a tenner. And that's how they got away with it. True story.
Maybe.
It could well be. But yeah, I don't know. I think that Soundgarden album is sort of, it doesn't know where it wants to be. That's what I found with it. I wasn't too sure if it was meant to be like Nirvana grungy or whether it was supposed to be middle of the road sort of rock or whether it was supposed to be out and out rock, if you know what I mean.
I think that's kind of, now you say that, I think at the time I felt, yeah, and again I say I haven't listened to this album enough, so I probably shouldn't say too much, but I did get the feeling at the time that it wasn't quite raw or alternative-y enough to be really alternative.
No, it's too produced to be that.
And I think that was maybe what kind of if it had been more that way, maybe I'd have been more attracted.
Yeah. It kind of
be one thing or the
other.
Yeah, if it was going to be, super commercial like Bon Jovi or something, I could accept it on those terms.
Yeah.
It was going to be that, but otherwise, go and be a bit more alternative.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm getting it all wrong. Well, tell me that I'm getting it wrong.
Well, you seem to have the same thought as I did. It reminded me a little bit of, and I suppose they were influenced by bands like, but London's greatest American rock brand, Bush. Razor Blade Suitcase and things like that. It's a bit like them. It's sort of, I don't know quite where to put it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like when Razor Blade Suitcase came out, which I think was about 95, 96. You thought it was going to be sort of that indie-esque sort of stuff, but it's not. And it wasn't Nirvana. It was sort of somewhere in this sort of Bermuda Triangle of genres. Even though I do enjoy a bit of Bush, that sounded incredibly wrong.
Well, they used to make quite low price music systems back in the 80s, didn't they? So
they did, yeah. And those retro radios, etc. What was the song off of that Razor Blade? Swallowed, followed. That sort of, yeah. But I don't know. They're still going Bush or whatever. But they're from a different year.
Yeah, I didn't listen. I never really listened to them. But again, when I think the bits I heard of it, I just didn't think it was all that. I felt it was a little bit. Diet Coke version of Nirvana. Would I be right in saying that?
I suppose. Because I think Razor Blade Suitcase was 96.
Yeah.
And then I think 16 Stone. I think it might have been their debut album was 94. But I think one of the things that Bush suffered from is not only did they not know what genre they kind of fitted into, was that everybody just was like, for a long time was, oh, that's the guy who's married to Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, that's what he was most famous. Well, that's what he was most famous for in this country because they didn't really have much success here, did they? But they were much bigger in America. So they were known as being the band that's big in America. Oh, and the guy's married to Gwen
Stefani. Because weren't they called Bush because they were from Shepherd's Bush or something like that?
Is that right?
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. That could be completely wrong, but I've got a feeling I read that somewhere that they were called Bush because they're from Shepherd's Bush. But anyway, that's 1996
Maybe.
Razor Blade Suitcase. So we are diverting off course a bit. But yeah, like I said, the Soundgarden album, I've listened to it. I don't think I wouldn't be sad if I went through the next, what am I now, 45? I've probably got another 160 years to live. I wouldn't, if I went through the next 160 years and didn't listen to it again, I wouldn't feel like my life was missing a piece from it.
Yeah, I know there are people who really love Chris Cornell as a singer, and I say I don't have a problem with him. I think he's fine, but I've never listened to him in enough length to be attached to him emotionally as a singer. But maybe I should listen more to him. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
maybe their moderner stuff's become more MOR. Maybe they've, a bit like Matchbox 20 and a few other bands from that sort of era of becoming a bit more centre. But yeah, that's all I've listened to for 1994. I was going to listen to Jeff Buckley. But I might do that this week. I might go out for a walk and put a bit of Jeff Buckley on. Obviously, I won't be walking into any rivers. No, I tell you what I did listen to the other day for 1994. I'm sure it's 1994. Was it 93? I think it's 93. I need to check.
Well, tell us what it
was. Billy Joel's River of Dreams, but I'm sure that's 1993.
Yeah, that was 93. Pop Pickers. I can tell you that was 93.
It was 93, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that. I put that on because it was 93. So I can't even talk about that. But
what did you think about that?
I didn't mind it. I've got the River of Dreams single on tape and CD because I really enjoyed that single, the actual single that came out from it.
Well, he's someone who, we've spoken about this before. He's someone who gets a little bit slagged off.
Yeah.
He gets a little bit. He sometimes gets a bit slagged off in the way that someone like Phil Collins does. So, and he's pretty ubiquitous in America.
Who?
Yeah, your mate, Phil Collins. But Billy Joel, there's a lot of people. It was an interesting album because it was the last one he did where he wrote any songs. He hasn't written an album of songs since then. He's written one or two songs.
Yeah,
but there are a lot of people who think, well, he went too commercial in the 80s and he was never as good as he was in the 70s.
Yeah, things like Uptown Girl and that I can't stand.
Yeah, that was designed as a sort of a deliberate throwback, sort of Frankie Valli, Four Seasons.
Yeah. But We Didn't Start the Fire, I really enjoyed that song.
You enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Well, I think he got disillusioned with the music business as well, the record business. But that River of Dreams album, when it came out, I did hear it and I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was anything that great. Okay.
Yeah.
But having heard it recently, or in the last year or two, I think now that he was writing an album about being middle-aged and being slightly disillusioned with things, and also being slightly having those sort of a little bit midlife crisis, not overtly, but a little bit midlife crisis. And when I listen to it now, and when I first heard it, of course, I was early 20s or something, so it didn't really resonate in that way. Listening to it now, I can pick up more on how he was feeling, if that makes any sense. And I think in some ways it's perhaps the most emotionally honest record that he made.
Yeah, well, River of Dreams is quite sort of.
He's known. I mean, he's known for writing these pop tunes and being,
I really love the album cover as well.
But I think it was, he is not necessarily seen as being a very particularly deep songwriter. He's more seen as being on the surface, very good craftsman, great tunes, etc. But I think that one is maybe in some ways one of his deepest records. It may not seem that way at first hearing. When you hear it, when you listen to it properly, it's actually I think it's pretty
he goes
good.
Walking in his sleep from the mountains of faith to the river so deep. So I thought it was quite a because I didn't listen to it all. I think I got about 5, 6, 7 tracks in. It was quite a in some regards a spiritual album.
Well, the other thing about that some, I'm maybe going to too much depth about Billy Joel here, but a lot of Billy Joel fans didn't like that album because it was the first album where he basically dropped the drummer who had been in his band since the mid-70s, Liberty DeVito, who adds, if you listen to Billy Joel's records from his classic era, you listen to the drumming by Liberty DeVito, who was another Long Island native, like Joel, a bit of a character. And he adds quite a lot of that sort of New York attitude through his drumming. He wasn't a subtle drummer, put it that way. He hit quite hard. But he does do some really good bits. There's some really good drum bits on those Joel records. And of course, a lot of fans were attached to him as being the drummer for Joel's music. And then when Joel went to the producer of that River of Dreams, Dan Korchmar, he went to work with him. He previously worked with Phil Ramone. And that producer persuaded him to work with a different drummer for the songs because he wanted someone who had more of a sort of a groove. And when you listen to it, I think Korchmar, probably from a production decision, probably made the right decision because that drummer on that album plays in a way that I don't think Liberty DeVito could have done. So although a lot of Joel fans, he got rid of Liberty, that's, they were emotionally wounded by that. I think in a way, yes, he did. And Joel went to him saying, I want to do something different. I want to find a different sound. So he did what was necessary.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of a little bit of an overlooked gem, maybe overlooked by Joel fans, some of them anyway.
It's overlooked by us in '93.
Overlooked by us when we did the '93 thing. I don't know whether it's the bet. Would it have been in my top 3 of '93? If I'm feeling a bit.
I would say it's not
mainstream.
A difficult album to listen to.
No, it's not. But difficult. Some people are going to poo-poo it because it's quite a mainstream, singer-songwriter pop, big star album. But I think it's pretty good. I think it compares well with his contemporaries who do a similar
I quite enjoyed it, and I know it was 1993, but I just thought I'd throw it in, and the album cover's pretty decent as well. It's got a pretty decent album cover. So
I believe that Christy Brinkley painted that.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I could quite happily have that hanging on my wall. I don't. I've got some paintings. I don't know. Have you seen them? I've got 2 paintings on my wall over here of the Morning Glory and Definitely Maybe album covers. I had them painted, and they're the only paintings I've got because I didn't do them myself. So, but no. As it regards to 1994, I'm gearing up for my GCSEs next year. They're the only ones I've listened to so far. I've got Jeff Buckley. I don't need to listen to Portishead Dummy again, even though I will, because that's a great album, and it may get into my top 2 because, let's face it, one of my top 3 is already taken. But I am still venturing forward, finding stuff to listen to, Philster.
Yeah, I still haven't got a top 3.
Have you actually listened to anything this week from 1994?
I have listened to one album from 1994.
Madonna's Bedtime Stories, was that?
Well,
94?
no, I have listened to that before. Would you believe? But
that shocks me.
But
you've sent me about, I don't know, say 50 messages this week.
Yeah,
49 of them have been about Madonna.
Well,
and the other one was you wanting to be Madonna.
True. That's not entirely true.
All right, 48 of them have been about Madonna.
I'll tell you what I did listen to.
I
this
love
week.
Madonna. Oh, you don't say, Phil.
I'll tell you what I did listen to this week.
Go on.
Which is...
Have you listened to the New Radicals yet?
No, but that's not from 94, is it?
It's not from 94, no. 98, I think the album came out. What's he been listening to? Here we go.
I listened to...
Snoop Dogg?
It wasn't Snoop Dogg.
Enya. Enya must have had an album in 94.
I think she made an album. Well, did she make an album every year in 94?
Every year in 94?
I'm not sure that she did.
She's got to have made... I need to find this out now. Enya. Who bought Enya albums?
Some people do like that sort of mellowness, don't they?
It's not mellow. It's just. Didn't she live next door to Bono? What was that one she did? Orinoco Flow. Was that it? Something like that.
Something like that.
What does she? What style does Enya fall into?
Is it Celtic dream pop or something like that?
I don't know. But no, she didn't have an album.
Electronica.
She didn't have an album out in 94. She had one in 91, 87, 88, 91, 95, 97, and so on and so on. And so, in fact, she released
never
two
listened.
in 97, three in 97.
Have you ever listened to a whole Enya album?
No.
I never have.
4 in 1997. She had 4 albums out in 1997.
Really? They weren't
Stars,
reissued?
Ocean, Clouds, and Paint the Sky with Stars.
There you go.
There you go. Won't be listening to them.
No, the one I listened to was Primal Scream, Give Out But Don't Give Up, which I have heard before, but I haven't heard it for a very long time.
Enjoy it?
I had it on in the car. I did kind of enjoy it. I mean, it was an interesting one because it's a very interesting follow-up to Screamadelica, because
which is a great album.
It was very much go back to their sort of rock and roll roots, and they worked with Tom Dowd? They worked with the producer.
Screamadelica made my top 3, didn't it?
Yeah,
in 91.
So they went back towards the sort of Rolling Stones stuff and sort of soul and funk, but very old school. There's no electronic stuff on there. There's nothing like the electronic stuff that's on Screamadelica, but some of it's similar in style to, say, Moving On Up and Damaged. The Stonesy style songs that they did on Screamadelica. Of course, the ones on Screamadelica were produced by Jimmy Miller, who had been the Rolling Stones producer. So,
oh really?
But I think they worked with Tom Dowd on Give Out But Don't Give Up. I say it's enjoyable, but is it my top 3 of the year? I'm not sure it's going to make my top 3. I'm not sure if it will.
I'm interested to know, because we've only got, is it next weekend? No, weekend after, isn't it? We would have to decide. I've still got a couple of weeks left. I keep looking up because I don't know if I'm pointing at it here on your screen, but here on mine, I've got the duck from StreamYard, and below it here is the picture of my dog, who is no longer with us, Milo. And because the frame is cream and the duck's head's on it, I keep thinking that I've got a full duck up there. It looks like the duck's body, and it keeps distracting my eyes. Old Tupac, Snoop and Biggie, you look like they're with Ducky. So, so if I keep looking up, that's why, Philster. Maybe that duck should release an album for 94. That'd be brilliant. So we've got 2 weeks to go. I think I need one more for my top 3. I'm glad I did that right there. 3.
Any idea what genre you'd like it to be? What you've got an indie rock album in there. You've got
I think I've got a trip hop album in there. I don't know if I want a classic sort of rock album. I mean, it's a shame I can't have Bon Jovi's Crossroads, but that's a compilation.
You're not going to get it in there.
I'm not going to get it in there. I need to find out if Pato Banton had an album out in 1994. I don't know.
What about something that blends together a sort of indie stuff with a little bit of hip hop and a bit of folk and a bit of everything?
What about MCs?
What about Beck?
Ooh, yeah. Now you could be talking. Actually, was it Odelay? 94.
No, that's 96. It's his debut album. His first major album.
Yeah,
is which is done on Geffen label, was Mellow Gold, which has Loser on it, which is obviously the well-known.
I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you come here?
So you could go with that. You could give that a go. Yeah,
I do like Beck. I did like Odelay, and then what was the one? Was it New Generation or new? What was the follow-up album to Odelay? Is it?
There's Midnight Vultures. There was Mutations. Sorry,
Mutations. That's what I'm thinking. That's the one with Is it New Generations or whatever on it? What's the single from it? In the new pollution.
Yeah, that's on Odelay, New Pollution.
Oh, is it on No Delay, is it? Why did
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was on the one afterwards?
Mutations had Tropicalia.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do
Yeah,
remember.
I think that was the single. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that album quite well. I can't remember what the singles were off that now. I think Tropicalia was a single, but
No, right.
I
Oh,
wouldn't say it was necessarily the best song on it.
I'm just having a look. 'Cause I said I was going to hit you with some facts from 1994. And the other week we were talking about, for some reason, we did bring up Tony Braxton, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why, but we
I
did.
have no idea why. But on March the 1st, 94, at the Grammy Awards, Whitney Houston sang "I Will Always Love You" with Sting and Tony Braxton. Says here. Oh no,
Okay.
no, I might have read that wrong. "I Will Always Love You" Grammy Awards. Ah, no, Tony Braxton won a Grammy Award. The way it's worded here makes it sound like she sang it with. The Latin Walk of Fame, one of my favourite.
Well, if you want to
Hubba
talk about
Hubbas.
things that happened in '94, do you remember? I think this was at the Brits.
Glorious.
In fact, I'm sure it was at the Brits. I don't know for 100% sure that this was '94, but I have a feeling that it was. Maybe you can look it up. Do you remember when Björk, your favourite photographer fighting Icelandic singer,
Yeah.
do you remember when
Invented
she
that food
collaborated?
supermarket.
Do you remember when she got together with PJ Harvey at the Brits and
I do vaguely remember that.
performed
Yes,
I Can't Get No Satisfaction?
I do
By the
vaguely
Stones.
remember that. Yeah.
Was that '94? You can look that up. Tell me that was.
Let's have a look. If you are right,
I've
I
still never
will.
quite been able to. It's one of those performances. I've still never quite been able to decide
If you
whether
like
I
it or
like
not.
it or not. Yeah, it was certainly interesting. I didn't dislike it, but it's one of those that is bound to be Marmite because there'll be some people who say turn it off and put the Rolling Stones version
Oh,
on,
here we go.
and other people who will like it.
PJ Harvey, Bjork, and there was one other artist.
Was there another one playing with them?
Apparently, according to this, no, I don't think it was. I think they released something together. It was the 1994 Brit Awards. It was PJ Harvey and Bjork. But in PJ, oh no, it's just a photo. I thought they released it because you've got PJ Harvey, Bjork, and Tori Amos there. All
Right.
I thought it was Bananarama at first, but or TLC.
I remember at the time I had one colleague who was into Nirvana and that kind of thing, and she thought it was great. And then another colleague in the office who was probably someone who would probably have been more into Tony Braxton and Whitney Houston. Thought it was absolutely awful. And the other colleague was saying, "No, I loved it." She thought it was superb, and I was sort of, I appreciated the interestingness and alternativeness of it, but I can't say I absolutely loved it. I still can't decide.
Well, that picture I just showed you, that came from 1994. It was 7 weeks after Kurt Cobain died, that picture was taken. And I didn't realise, but it was quite controversial because it was on the cover of Q magazine. And it says here...
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yes. The British music magazine Q brought together the American artist Tori Amos, England's PJ Harvey, and everybody's frozen food outlet, Bjork, beneath the title Hips, Lips, Tits, Power.
I remember that now you say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently it angered...
Well, people saying it was sexist, basically, to write it like that.
Yeah, there it is. There's the... and Tori Amos was not happy with that, which I suppose is understandable.
It does seem a little bit. You wouldn't get away with that now, would you?
A little bit misogynistic, I suppose.
It's a little bit. I don't know what they were trying to do with that one, but yeah.
No, it's almost. I know we're seeing it through modern day eyes, but it does seem a little bit sort of. I don't know. I suppose at the time, girl power and that and all this sort of stuff. I suppose some people might have gone, yeah, that's what we've got, and but I just find it a bit cringy now.
Yeah, it might have been okay if they'd come out with that, come up with the
Yeah,
description
yeah, I think.
themselves. But if it just looks like male journalists have written
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
then we're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
be,
swinging their
yeah,
penises around because you wouldn't have that with if they had on that front cover who was big in '94. Say they had Coolio, Paul Weller, and Billy Joel on there. They wouldn't have
I'm
like
not sure that combination would have happened.
no, but
But
imagine if it did. Imagine the supergroup. They wouldn't have on there like eyes, dicks, feet, and power. It just you just wouldn't do that, would you? It's I don't know, but like I said, it was a different time. It was 30 years ago, and we can't. I always say you can never judge the past on today's values. Only
yeah,
learn from it.
although it obviously was seen as being a little bit out of order at the time because people
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
objected.
Yes, I think they've. Yeah, I'm having a quick through this. Yeah, because it says that they responded with a resounding yeah, I don't. Yeah, she wasn't happy with it anyway. So, anyway, that's 1994, Phil. Still, we continue it next week where we'll be letting into our ears some more vibes and stuff. It's probably something horrendous. Do you know what came onto my playlist earlier when I was out in the garden? I just asked
I
Alexa to play some
I
summer
dread to
hits.
think what may have come up.
Color Me Bad. Oh, she's on. Color Me Bad and I wanna sex you up. Oh, what's she playing? I didn't even ask her. I just said Alexa and she started playing. Alexa, stop. There we go. I don't know what she was going to play. That would have been interesting to know. But for copyright issues, we couldn't allow that to happen.
Yeah, if you ask one of those things to play summer music, you're not going to get anything good, are you?
No. Well, I was quite surprised because there was a song come up, and this has nothing to do with 1994. Once again, we are going down a rabbit hole. But I did ask it to play some summer hits, and it brought up. And I don't know if you remember the song. I'll find the song out.
There are of course some good summer songs.
Yeah.
You can't. Obviously there's some good Beach Boys songs. Maybe a bit of Mamas and the Papas. Hot Fun in the Summertime by Sly and the Family Stone. The Kinks, Sunny Afternoon. Yeah, there are some good summer records.
It's quite funny you say the Beach Boys because the Beach Boys came on yesterday, and my dad was dancing in the garden to it. So, no, do you remember the song? It had the lyric in it about Abercrombie and Fitch by LFO. You remember that?
That was a clothing store, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Abercrombie.
The song was called Summer Girls, and that came on yesterday. And I was like, God, I haven't heard this song since probably when it came out, when it was on Top of the Pops or something. And I was looking into it, and literally the three members of the band who are in that, they're all obviously handsome young men at the time, but tragically, they've all died. Which is really sort of because you know what it's like. Yeah, a song you haven't heard for ages. I thought, oh God, I wonder if they're still together releasing music. Turns out they're all dead, which is sad.
Well, if it's anything like E17, you'll have to watch several YouTube videos about them now, won't you?
My Sunday night is already planned with some LFO viewing. I'm still slightly fascinated by E17, not as much as I was though. But in one of our previous videos, which may not have been released when this comes out, so I'll say in one of our previous videos, or possibly one of our yet to be released videos, we talk about One Day Time Machine. Maybe I could go back and, watch E17 doing their thing, find out what really happened. Maybe that's something I need to do, Phil, to get it out of my system. So, but yeah, we end 94 on a sad note, even though they were from 98, 97, I think they released that Summer Girl song. But I just thought I'd throw it out there.
On that note, viewer, thanks for sticking with this for 39 minutes. What on earth
and 10 seconds. Yeah, you are
be
mad.
Back. We'll round up 1994 after discussing it ad infinitum. But in the meantime, let us know what records from that auspicious year we ought to have reviewed by now. The comments are there. Thanks for watching.